Hello everyone, I'm here. Thank you for hanging around. The issue was I was just pressed the start streaming button and then OBS decided to tell me that I didn't have the right drivers. So I just had to quickly do a quick fix for that. But we're fine. Hello everyone, Happy New Year. It's been a few weeks since I've done a live stream. How is everybody? Torben, hello. Hello in Norway. Marrowwind. Thanks for sticking around. Orange. So you've been subbed and it's only just now let you chat. I have set it for 5 minutes. I don't know what the issue is there, but I'm glad it's working now. That was a palaver. The amount of times, every time I open OBS, it wants to update, so I think there's just been some issues. George Wright, the mayor, hello. We'll just let people catch on that we've gone live. We'll just give it a few minutes. We're just going to be doing a lot of chatting tonight, just talking about what I've been up to, what I'm going to be up to, and just sort of keep you guys in the loop, just sort of give you guys an update. Because a few things have changed over the past few weeks. I've been busy. I hope everybody had a good December and holiday season. I had a nice quiet one. I was ill most of it. So for me, December, I had a lot of plans for content, which didn't end up working out. But I'll show you some of the failures that we had. So in Norway, it's -21. It's literally just gone below 0, and I've been suffering here in the Midlands. I'll get really bad eczema in the cold weather. So I definitely couldn't survive where you are. Tatra Harness, hello, painting some Cadians right now with your guide, fantastic work, I'm glad. I wouldn't mind doing some more Cadian stuff this year, actually. I might be a bit rusty with live streaming. Yeah, so through December, I had planned on doing a lot more content than actually came out. But I had a few failures. So I'll let you in on what's been happening while we're still waiting on people. Show you. Still here. So I had planned on bringing out a tutorial for an Imperial Fist Land Raider. But it didn't. I was having issues with it. With the contrast. You'll have to excuse how bright it is. The wash I usually do for the Imperial Fist just went down a bit patchy. And I think I got the mix wrong, so it ended up quite dark compared to what the Imperial Fists usually look like. And I just kind of lost my mojo for it. And it just wasn't very exciting. So I ended up, and I'd already spent like 3 days sort of filming this, but I ended up shelving it. Luckily, this is repaintable. I can just re-undercoat it just because of the contrast's obviously quite thin. So this is either gonna be another attempt at Imperial Fist, or it's gonna become an Ultramarine Land Raider for my Ultramarines. But we'll see. But that was, so just to let you know that there are some failures with the tutorials, and they don't always work out. I also tried out doing long form content. So obviously I did the 3-hour talk on all the sort of beginner videos that I've made over the past few years. Just because the meta for YouTube at the moment is long form videos for people. So I thought I would give that a go for TableTopReady. And I planned a few, but it didn't quite hit the mark, I think, on TableTopReady. Just because I think it's the audience. It's obviously short form tutorials. But if you haven't seen it, it's a very good video. I basically talked for 3 hours about the best way to get started. If you haven't seen it already. Because I had planned on making a version of that to talk about improving your painting and painting techniques. But I've got a different idea for that now. And I'd kind of lost my mojo to make painting tutorials over November and December. So you notice a lot of the videos were more how to do bases. And I think the last one really was how to do transfers, which aren't really true painting tutorials. But I've definitely got my mojo back now. But I think I think after a few years I was burnt out over the past few weeks. So I kind of took it easy over Christmas and New Year. But coming into this year, there's going to be nothing but painting tutorials. So, which I'm looking forward to. If you haven't seen already, I released a video for Marneus Calgar, and this was actually another failure. This is the second Marneus Calgar that I painted. Do I have a Krieg guide? I do have a Krieg guide actually. It's a couple of years old now. It's when they first came out for Kill Team. But lucky for you, if you can wait a couple of months, I'm going to update it for the new colour scheme. And I'm also thinking of doing a tank video for Imperial Guard as well at the same time, which might become a masterclass, which we'll talk about. I've got a lot of ideas. Morrowind, you got some Lord of the Rings miniatures to paint. I'm getting into Lord of the Rings. I've got some Minas Tirith that I need to finish as well. But everyone fails is what makes us human. Don't let fail stop you from doing what you enjoy, assuming you enjoy this. I really do enjoy doing this, honestly. But sometimes you get to that point where you just do so much painting, you just need a little break. So I'll kind of focus more on a lot of the background stuff for TableTopReady and plan what I want to do this year and sort of produce different kinds of content. But I'm definitely back in the mindset to do some painting tutorials this year. Those transfer and bases videos are much needed, elevated my miniatures. Yeah, I'm glad I made them because the transfer video is an updated version of the first video I made on the channel. It definitely needed an update because I do my transfers differently to how I do them now. I even use like a different product. So if you've seen it, I use Mark Fit Strong, or you can get like a non-strong version of this. I also do use the microsol and microset, which I talk about in my original video. So you can use that. You can use those products instead of this. That tutorial still fits. It's mainly all the stuff I do around it that's kind of changed. So go check that out. I wanted to do the transfer video just so I can reference it at the end of videos that where miniatures use transfers. And the bases video, people have been asking for a bases video for a long time. And I'm not great at bases, so it was fun just to explore what you can achieve with just like the Citadel products at least. So again, now when everyone asks, I can just send them to that. They were created more to create reference for people than to be tutorials, I think. Torben, I hope your mojo returns. My Necrons would be nothing without your channel. I love Necrons as well. There's going to be more. So this year there's going to be more Necron tutorials, more Imperial Guard tutorials, more Tyranid tutorials, more Space Marine tutorials, more Orc tutorials. It's going to be just more tutorials for everything. I think I want to spend some time updating a lot of older videos and making them more approachable. I definitely want to do, because of the 500 Worlds campaign that's coming out, or that's just started. Obviously the pre-orders went up over the weekend. I'm going to be doing Necrons very soon. You'll be happy to know I ordered a Titus, so I've got a Titus come in, and I'll be doing a tutorial for the channel for Titus as soon as I get him. So you're looking at a Titus tutorial in 3 weeks' time, because it's a 2-week pre-order. Like all the pre-orders are 2 weeks now. So Titus is coming to the channel. So I've been waiting, because I've been saying I would have done him before now, but I've never been able to get hold of that original miniature because Games Workshop never officially released it. And now I understand why. It's because they had this in the works. But because the campaign's going to be like the Ultramarines and Necrons, it only makes sense to create some Necron tutorials. And I'm a huge fan of that Deceiver miniature. And I think that would be a really good challenge to paint that. This is Guilliman. So something I've done, something I did last week, and something I did last weekend was launch the masterclass series. So the masterclass series is an additional series of tutorials that I'll be working on, created for supporters of the channel through Patreon and YouTube members. And you can also purchase the individual tutorials for £3, British pounds. So whatever that converts to. So what this masterclass series is going to be covering, the larger miniatures here. So these miniatures I wouldn't have ever painted for the channel because of how much work and effort goes into doing this. As I say, this is the second Guilliman I painted. The first Guilliman I started didn't work out. And I changed my mind about how I wanted to paint him. I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% happy with this one. I'd still change how I painted this. But I think I would feel that way about any larger miniature. So the masterclass is basically going to be a series painting character miniatures and centerpiece miniatures. The more fun stuff. Just because something like Roboute Guilliman here doesn't have as big of an audience as you might think. It's quite a niche within a niche. Not everybody's going to want to paint Guilliman. So to make it sort of worthwhile to create these tutorials, I've had to put it behind a paywall. I've tried to make it as cost effective as possible. So if you join up for Patreon and YouTube members, you will get access to all the masterclasses that I will make from now on. And what I've done is, something else I've worked on in the past couple of weeks is the website. So if you go over to TableTopReady.co.uk, it is now a usable website both on browser and your mobile. And there's a page called for masterclasses, and all the masterclasses are going to be accessible on that page. Just because of the organization on Patreon itself, is there's no organization basically, so I wanted to create a space where all those videos are going to be. But again, you'll see what's available, but you won't have access to them unless you've either paid for it individually, £3 through Patreon, or you become a patron or YouTube member, because I'll have links to either. The website isn't 100% finished. There are still some empty pages, but as it stands, it's usable as it is. And you'll see over the next couple of weeks, I'll finish the website. And if you didn't see the post I put up, I think yesterday, there is an option to join my newsletter, because that's something I want to get done this year, is like at least a monthly newsletter. And when you sign up, it says on there you'll get access to a PDF on improving your painting. I haven't created that PDF yet. I'm still working on that. But if you sign up for that newsletter, I'll basically get all your emails. So I'll send out the PDF to all those who've signed up already. I'll send everyone the PDF as soon as that's done. And that's going to be done. That'll be done next week. That's the next thing I'm doing outside of painting tutorials. If you want to go to the website, the link's in the description of this live stream, or it's just tabletopready.co.uk. Nice and easy. And there is the browser version's a bit fancier, and the mobile version's just kind of, it's got as much as I could put on there, because there's limitations to mobile websites. Whereas a browser, there's a bit more going on with it. But as I say, there are empty pages on there, so just wait for those. There's going to be a page for articles as well coming up soon, which I'm going to have to work on. But again, make sure to sign up for the newsletter. You'll get a PDF once I've made it, and that's just the way to sort of get updated once a month. And I don't just want it to be just a corporate sort of telling you what's new and with the channel and stuff. It's probably going to be more of a just sort of an update on what I'm doing in my own hobby. Just make it a bit more personal. So hopefully you'd look forward to the newsletter every month. So yeah, this is Guilliman. Just let you have a little nose. So if whoever's got access to the tutorial now, it's a live. It's more of a live commentary as I paint, rather than what you are used to seeing on the channel. I can't promise that's what the next lot of tutorials for masterclass is going to be like, because it was really difficult to talk and paint at the same time. So I am probably going to go back to doing a voiceover with some live commentary as and when I think it's needed. But that's the base. So the base is done really simply. I don't really talk about how I painted the base in the video, because I just assume everyone's going to paint the base however they want, and that would have added another hour to it. And then you've got Guilliman himself. So in the video, I'll talk about the sub-assemblies for it as well. So building and painting. Then we get a close-up of the the sword was a bit of work. I can't really make the light. I can't make the screen lighter when it's in, so I apologise. So yeah, I'm really happy with the Guilliman. So if you are interested and you want to know how I've painted this, if you do go onto Patreon, there is I think there's a small clip, but it's only at the end of the video showing what it looks like, which you're having a look now. One thing that is going to be different about the masterclasses, it's going to be kind of inverted from my normal tutorials. So my general tutorials for the channel, it's the patrons and supporters that get updates behind the scenes on how it's coming along. And then you guys get access to the tutorial. Whereas I'm actually going to be quite open with the progress I make on the masterclasses. And I'll keep the general subscribers updated on how it looks. And then that tutorial will obviously go to supporters. So you'll at least see what it looks like as it's being worked on. Well, I'll just catch up with you guys. That is Guilliman. So, hi ho, will any chance a tutorial show up for the Victrix Guard? If you go watch my, you can go watch my Marnius Calgar tutorial. I paint the Victrix Guard in there, so tutorial already exists. I've also done tutorials for the Blade Guard. So you can, so those tutorials already exist. So go check out those tutorials on the channel already. One thing I am pondering about is doing a painting tutorial for the banner that comes in the box with Titus. Because I think that'd be quite fun to show you guys how to paint banners. Thousand Suns chapter painter I am. I'm a huge fan of, there's more Thousand Suns tutorial coming this year as well. So Black Country Apex Nerd. I'm going to be doing one of the masterclasses is going to be Magnus. So that's going to be Magnus in March for masterclass. I'm also pondering painting Araman for the channel. Just because the Thousand Suns tutorial is done really well. And because of that, I think it's worth doing more Thousand Sun content. So I'm definitely doing the next Primarch I will be doing for the masterclasses Magnus. And then I'll be doing the Lion later on in the year. Also, many thanks for your work and vids. They're a great help and inspiration. I'm really glad you think so. LDS Marder. I do love, I don't want to do anything else. I love this channel. I love the tutorials. I love hearing about how you guys get use out of them. More Necron tutorials makes the Norwegian snowman happy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to painting Necrons. I know I've got a few already on the channel, but I think they're ready for an update. George, I like that you can purchase the individual videos. Yeah, I thought that's quite a big thing for me, because especially as more come out, obviously there's going to be incentive to join. It's not that much cheaper than just becoming a member or patron, but you might not want to subscribe for all the videos. But you will have access, and you'll always have access to that video, and you can just obviously go to my website for easy access once you've purchased it. Can I show the first attempt Guilliman? No, because I threw him in the bin. I got so upset with it. I'll tell you why, what I was having an issue with. I'd undercoated him, Retributor armor, and it went down really thick. So already it annoyed me, and all the detail had softened, so it wasn't very sharp. So for this Guilliman, I changed to undercoating it Macragge blue rather than Retributor armor. Because I started with the trim. And then I created a mix for the shade, which didn't go down well either. It dried quite slimy and gloopy. And I just wasn't having a good time with it. So I threw that all in the bin. And that's when, what did I do instead? Another failure I had. I started doing a Tomb Kings video to get you guys to sort of introduce the Tomb Kings army to you guys. And I'd actually finished the video, but I didn't like the video because it didn't really make sense and it wasn't that enjoyable to watch. So that was shelved. So originally the first Guilliman was meant to come out on Christmas Eve. Then that failed. Then the next video I attempted to do was the Tomb Kings sort of introductory starter box, and sort of showing you guys. It was a priming video to get ready to paint the Tomb Kings. So it's a kind of like a look in the Tomb Kings box. I've got it over here. I want to show you it. But that video does exist. But I'm going to sort of cut it up and make a bigger how to get started in Old World video using the Tomb Kings box, which I would have been working on now, but because Titus came out for pre-orders, that took priority, so I've had to shift the content that I'm making to sort of work around Titus. Will the newsletter be different to the Patreon updates? Yes. So the Patreon updates are sort of showing you what I'm working on for the channel. They're sort of like a look into the future, whereas I would say the newsletter is going to be a recap of what went on throughout the previous month. So I may even show some of the progress pictures for the tutorial. But it also gives me an opportunity to talk about my own hobby that I've worked on throughout that month, which I don't actually include in Patreon updates. Not always, sometimes I do. Yeah, so Patreon and membership stuff tends to be what I'm working on in the present and what I'm planning, whereas the newsletter will just be a recap and look back on the month, just to let you guys know what's available, if that makes sense. How often do you play the actual game of miniatures? So I play Old World. That's sort of like the game I play. And I'll probably have a game every couple of months, like 2 games a month. So that's my sort of favorite game at the minute. I'm kind of just waiting for the new edition of 40k before I get into that. And I've not played Age of Sigmar since 2nd edition. I've not been a fan of the recent rules for it. But Old World's what I mostly play. And that's why I'm eager to get my Tomb Kings done. How long is a masterclass video? So the Guilliman masterclass video is an hour long. If you go onto the channel, it's there under videos, but it'll just say members only content. But you'll see the thumbnail for it and you should see the timestamp. Can I show you how to paint red Corsairs sometime? Yes, I'm thinking about doing I can't remember his name now. The new character that's just been come out. I always forget names of everything when I come to live stream and tell you guys about it. You're on Blackheart, is it? He's got a new sculpt. I was thinking about it today. He might be a character that I paint for the channel. But it just depends on the time and when he's released. But it. Um, but I don't. He's probably not going to be released until. In what month we're in? He's probably the second quarter, just because he's going to be part of the reveals coming up next week. But yeah, I'm thinking about painting that character, and he is a red Corsair. But I'm not going to promise. It's a 60% chance. If I don't do it for the channel, it might become a masterclass. Thanks. I know the tutorial I was talking about, the new Victrix Guard, but while you mentioned banners, the new Victrix Guard got a huge banner for painting. Yeah, and I really, really like it. But that tutorial that Calgar, I'll keep one called Calgar Guilliman and Guilliman Calgar, but the Calgar video with the Victrix Guard in, they're painted exactly the same. So it wouldn't be really worth me doing a new, because I'm really happy with how that tutorial turned out. If I hadn't done that tutorial, I would have actually just painted this new Calgar in the Terminator armor, because I prefer Terminator armor. But yeah, I'm very interested in doing the banner. But we'll see when I get the miniature in my hand, because I feel like it might be worth a whole tutorial to paint banners. Torben, you collected Tomb Kings back when they were released back in the early 2000s. Made a 3,000 point army, so my Orc loving pal could actually win sometimes. They're actually quite good in Old World at the minute. I'll show you what I've got for the Tomb Kings, because I bought a whole army over Christmas. I've been sort of like buying bits and bobs for it since October. George, don't worry about it. If anyone's got any questions, don't worry about. This is what I like about the live streams. I really thought about if there was going to be any hobby to do tonight, but there's so much I want to talk about. And I will probably repeat myself towards the end of the live stream about the website and the masterclasses, just so I can remind people. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, that's what I'm here for. Options on the salamanders. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I will do an updated salamanders tutorial if the Primarch's release this year. That's my promise. But there is a salamanders tutorial on the channel which I'm really happy with, and which I probably wouldn't change that much. There's no way I'm going to be painting the old yellow and black camo scheme for salamanders. That's just crazy. But you can follow my Imperial Fist tutorial if you want. Yeah, that's crazy. I had thought about it, but no, that's mental. My webcam is doing my head in. It keeps making me orange. I think OBS is just being a pain at the minute. So I'll talk about the next lot of content that's happened on the channel then. So for the masterclass, The masterclasses, they're exclusive tutorials for patron members and YouTube members, and you can also buy them individually. So at the minute, Roboute Guilliman is the first and only one that exists at the moment. The next, I'm planning on doing hopefully one a month at least, depending on this subject. The next masterclass is going to be the White Scar character on the bike, because I want to paint him. So that's like a personal thing that I just want to do. I think it'll be fun, and it's not a big project either. And it's just going to help me sort of figure out what I want the masterclass series to be before I start doing bigger and bigger things. I did Guilliman first because you just have to do a big. Your first video has to be a big one. I think Roboute Guilliman's a big one. But yeah, the next masterclass video is going to be the White Scar character. But there'll be a White Scar tutorial update on the channel as well shortly after. So if you do paint White Scars and you want an updated tutorial to paint those, even though there is one on the channel at the moment but it needs updating, there is going to be one at the same time. That'll be after Titus. So the next weekend, I'm doing an updated Battle Sisters tutorial. So this is going to be the tutorial for next Sunday. And this is going to be the first proper painting tutorial I've done probably since the Orc Big Mech with shock attack gun. So what you'll find now is that my tutorials will lean more towards how I would personally paint them, rather than following an heavy metal method. So it's going to be kind of a good middle ground. Hi side 38. Hi Michael, good to hear about your updates. Are you still thinking of doing an Imperial Fist tank? Probably not. If I do, it'll probably be when I work on my own Imperial Fists. Maybe if Dawn comes out this, I'm expecting another Primarch to come out this year. So we'll see. But at the moment, I've shelved an Imperial Fist tank. Just because before I do one, I'm probably going to have to introduce the airbrush into the channel, which I do plan on doing with an Age of Sigmar video. I definitely want to do some Age of Sigmar videos this year. I absolutely love the new Nurgle stuff that's just recently come out. I also want to do another spearhead challenge like I did with the Iron Jaws. So if I do one, it's either going to be Stormcast, which is an obvious choice, or Nighthaunt. If I do Nighthaunt, I'm going to probably introduce an airbrush maybe. I don't know yet. But Imperial Fist tank, probably not this year, maybe next year. But if you can follow my Imperial Fist tutorials on the channel now. Painting Space Marine vehicles are pretty much the same as painting Imperial Space Marines anyway. There probably will be a Space Marine vehicle tutorial this year, but it'll probably be an Ultramarine vehicle, maybe like a Redemptor or Gladiator. But I'll talk about just painting Space Marine tutorials generally, painting Space Marine vehicles generally in that video, and just using Ultramarines as an example. So I believe these are called the Argent Shroud. I think that's the name of this scheme. So I'll be doing just, it's definitely going to be a lot quicker than how I approached painting a battle sister in my first tutorial. So that's still going to be relevant, but that's definitely a more advanced video, whereas I want to try and make this more beginner friendly. Just because of how popular that video is, I always feel bad when people say, I've just gotten into the hobby, I'm going to paint battle sisters, and I want to follow this tutorial. And I worry that it's going to be so difficult that it's going to put them off. So this is my way of sort of hopefully encouraging people to stick with it. And you'll see some different techniques that I've used. If you're interested, the way I'm going to paint the skin for these battle sisters is the same way I painted the skin for Guilliman. So that's half the tutorial there, and it's really straightforward how I've done the skin. But this is good. I'll do a standard head with the hair, but I'll show you how to do a bold head as well. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to start painting. I'm going to start filming and painting tomorrow. So that's the tutorial for next weekend. So you shouldn't have to wait too long. Then the tutorial 2 weeks after that is going to be Titus. And then in between all of that, I've got to finish the website and get that all finished and ready. My own personal hobby, as I say, I love playing games of old world. And as you know, I've got a Night Goblin army, which I've really been enjoying using recently. And I borrowed my friend's giant for the past 2 games because I didn't have one and I wanted to try one out. And it's done so well in both of those games that I've bought this model here. Now this isn't a giant, this isn't an official giant, this is the like the Trogoth character for Age of Sigmar. But I've bought it and built it, and this is what I'm going to use to be my giant for my Night Goblins, which I think's more fitting. So for a giant in the old world, during combat, you roll a d6, and there's a table of different attacks that a giant can do. And a giant works best against like a unit of miniatures rather than individual miniatures. So in the last game, it did this attack called belly flop. And in old world, you use templates if you've seen it, and you place a template over that unit, and then everything in that under that template gets hit. So my opponent wasn't very happy with that. But yeah, so giant's been really fun to use. So I've built this to use for my Night Goblins. When I get around to painting it, probably in the next couple of weeks, I'll definitely show you guys on here. Yeah, stuff in bags one, so if he's fighting against the character, or he can pick out a miniature and the stuff's it in his bag for later. You don't even have to roll anything. And then there's like swings with clubs, so he'll get like a certain amount of attacks. So a giant's really fun, but it's easy to kill. So yeah, and it's quite expensive points wise to put in your army. Primarch Lowen, thanks to you, I'm now much better at painting Thousand Suns. I'm glad. I was saying earlier, there's definitely more Thousand Sun content coming this year, just because of how much people have really enjoyed the Thousand Suns tutorial. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to painting this guy. I'm thinking he's going to be mostly white with purple accents. I loved like the big giant centipede, the spider. Yeah, it definitely fits Night Goblins better than the generic giant miniature. And I've used all the Age of Sigmar Night Goblins anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'll show you guys when that's painted. I'll show you what I've got for my Tomb Kings if you're interested, and I'll talk about the future plans for the Tomb Kings content. So for the channel, originally I planned about 3 or 4 videos for the channel, but now it's only going to be 2. I'm going to show you. I'm a huge enjoyer of Egyptian ancient history for a start, so this is right up my street. So this is the starter box for the old world. That's everything. This has already been opened and stuff, and this is what you get in it. You get Bone Dragon and just loads of infantry and cavalry. And this is what I'm going to make 2 videos based around. So the first video is going to be showing you how to paint all the infantry and cavalry, because they're all the same. They're either archers or they're spears and shields. And then the second video is going to be showing you how to paint the Bone Dragon and characters. I'm toying with the idea of doing a masterclass video on painting the Necrosphinx. So this is a cool miniature. Oh yeah, there are chariots in that box as well, but they're painted. They'll be in the first video. So yeah, I'm probably going to do a masterclass for this. But like the main box, you'll get all the content on the main channel. This will just be sort of extra, because I'm going to be painting this myself anyway. So I might just make a tutorial, because I'm really interested on tackling the marble effect on the body. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I bought one of those. We've got like the elite infantry. So these are called Tomb Guard. So these sort of like more heavily armored skeleton warriors. And these are great as well. I love these miniatures. Bought myself the character box with a I think it's a herald on, or a prince mounted, and the battle standard. If you ever do any kind of old world army, you always make sure to take a battle standard. There's like a wizard box for this as well, like a mounted and on foot as well, which I need to get, which I absolutely love. This I won't be doing a video for, but everything should be covered in the Bone Dragon tutorial if you're interested. And then I bought so this had been out of stock on the website for months and weeks. So it finally came in stock a couple of weeks ago, and straight away I ordered one. So this is a catapult. This is really good. And I bought this is just a character with a whip. So this an old world actually still uses metal miniatures. And the catapult here is resin. So if you do old world stuff, there's a mixture of metal and resin and plastic. I love high elves. High elves is on my list to do maybe next year. Yeah, the chariots as well. I'm waiting for the main character for Tomb Kings to come back in stock. He's called Cetra. He's the only one who defied the main undead guy. Again, I can't remember names. I will in a minute. The really tall guy. If you've seen any of the Total War stuff, the next expansion for that's the End Times, which has got a great trailer for it. I need to get the Casket of Souls for that. So the Casket of Souls for the Tomb Kings is basically the Ark of the Covenant, and it sort of shoots out spirits, which is a lot of fun. Nagash, thank you very much. Yeah, so Cetra. So Nagash has these generals called Mortarchs, and there's Mortarchs that lead the various different kinds of undead. And Cetra was supposedly one of these generals of the undead, but Cetra refused to bow down to Nagash, and that's why they were taken out of Age of Sigmar. Because Nagash basically destroyed the Tomb Kings when they refused to sort of bow down to Nagash, because Cetra rules. He doesn't follow anyone. WCD official, when are you going to do the next 3 Ultramarines painting videos? So the next one actually is going to be Titus. So over the weekend, Titus came up for pre-order. I went down to the Warhammer store at 10 o'clock to make sure I managed to pre-order one. So he's going to be after the Battle Sisters tutorial. And honestly, there's always going to be Ultramarine tutorials. And I know people might not like Ultramarines, but they're great for the channel. And obviously this year there's a new edition of 40k coming out. So there's just going to be a whole new series of videos painting the whatever Ultramarines are out for that edition. Plus the alien race that sort of comes out with them. And supposedly it's going to be orcs this year. Hopefully, because they need some new miniatures for the orc boys. So I'm hoping it's going to be orcs and Ultramarines this year for the new edition. But there's always Ultramarine stuff that's going to be on the channel, so don't worry. The Ushabti, I don't have any Ushabti in my list. I think I love the Ushabti miniatures, and I'm probably going to include some in the future. Eventually I'm going to have all of the Tomb King stuff, but for my first list, I don't have any Ushabti in it. I think I opted for the Casket of Souls instead of Ushabti, just because it's a better support. And I've got a lot of archers through the Skeleton Warriors. Let's find something to put on screen that you can look at while I talk. Okay, we'll do a bit of show and tell of some of the stuff that's on my shelf. Will we see a video on Archive Imperialis this year? The thing about Archive Imperialis is that I had a friend who I was working on that with, and it kind of fell through. I've kept it. There is a video that exists for that channel, and if you're on Patreon, you can watch that video. It's still listed there. But I don't want to put that video out because it was a joint effort with someone else who I don't talk to anymore, basically. Unfortunately. But I have kept it in existence because once I've got a grip with all the stuff that's going on with TableTopReady, that is very likely going to be a second channel. That's the only reason there's nothing on that channel at the minute, just because that didn't work out. But there's still opportunities for that to happen, just because I've spent a lot of time and effort doing the branding and work to create that channel. It just needs content. So chairs all over the place. So if there's going to be content on that channel, it's probably going to be more towards the end of the year, maybe next year. But there's no plans the first half of this year. But I'm keeping it up in the hopes that something will come from it. Because I want to explore a lot of the lore and background of all the Warhammer universes. I found out that if you paint bone Corex white and just use Agrax Earthshade over it, you can get a very nice bone colour. Not bleached bone, but was exposed to the elements bone colour. Yeah, the one thing I love to use for bone is Skeleton Horde contrast. And that works really well either over a white scar undercoat or Wraithbone undercoat. You would find it hard to put over a Corax white undercoat. A Corax white is just because Corax white is a paint rather than an undercoat, so the texture's different. The contrast will stick to the Corax white too much, so it'll be very dirty. Whereas if you want something bleached bone, like you want it quite bright. What I tend to do is I tend to thin down the Skeleton Horde down with contrast medium to make it thinner, so there's more of that bone color that comes through. But you'll see how I paint. I've already planned out how I'm going to paint the Tomb Kings, and it's not going to be long before Tomb Kings video comes out on the channel. But yeah, Agrax Earthshade over Corex White is a great way to paint bone. Torben, I also got the Ark of the Covenant thingy in tin somewhere, never got to paint it. Yeah, the Ark of the Covenant miniature, the Casket of Souls it's great in games. Primarch Loan, you managed to order one too. I'm guessing that's Titus. Yeah, so if anyone's managed to get Titus, there will be a tutorial on the channel for him. As well, I'm thinking about doing the banner. LDS, it should be Blood Angels versus Orcs. It's always going to be Ultramarines, but you'll obviously be able to paint Blood Angel. You'll be able to paint them Blood Angels. There's no problem there. You couldn't get the new Necron though. That new Necron miniature is very nice, and as I said earlier, I love the Deceiver. Originally, I was thinking about doing the Silent King for a masterclass, but it might turn out that I paint the Deceiver for a masterclass when I'll get around to doing some updated Necron content. Am I going to make Roboute Guilliman tutorial free ever? Unfortunately, he probably will never be a free tutorial. He'll always be a masterclass. The reason I'm doing this series is that it just keeps the channel going. Because things are just getting more and more expensive. And a lot of the time, the tutorials that I make don't actually cover the cost of the miniatures I paint in those videos. So I've had to come up with a way to try and fund the whole channel. And this is the best thing for everybody. You get more content from it as well. And you get something from supporting the channel as well. Whereas before you didn't really get anything apart from updates and early access. Whereas now you get access to extra content, which I think's fair. Belinda, hello. Hello again. Good to see ya. Miguel, will we get some Votan tutorials again? Never say never. The thing is, the Votan tutorial just wasn't that popular. And I've only got a certain amount of tutorials in me a year to make. Just because I obviously only make content on my own. So I have to be careful with, I have to be choosy with what tutorials I put on the channel. So with the Votan tutorial, I tried to include a lot of the stuff you'll need to paint a lot of the Votan stuff. With the different colours of armour. Would I like to do more Votan content? I would, because I enjoy painting that Votan miniature. But at the moment, there isn't plans to do any. LDZ, we'll watch the Tomb Kings vids. There's plenty of bone and skulls on Space Marines. Yeah, so the Tomb Kings video, I'm hoping that's going to be out April time. So there'll be 2 videos for that. So the first Tomb Kings video is going to be how to get started in Old World using that getting started box, which I think's a great box. It's got the rule book in, some dice, the templates, and it's got although it states says it's a 1,250 points, it's actually 1,500 points in there. So a bit of show and tell. So stuff that I've been working on. I've actually been, so this is some Minas Tirith stuff that I've been working on. The only thing that I need to work on for these is painting the shield. So obviously you've got the white tree on the shield. So I'm happy with these. I've just got to paint the trees, and then I've got Gandalf to paint. And these are for my own personal stuff, because as well as the Old World, I want to start playing Lord of the Rings this year as well. And I love Gandalf. This is the reason why I want to do an updated Necron video. So the tutorial for this guy exists on the channel already. It's the Doom Stalker. And the way I approach painting this is a lot of stuff that you can apply to general Necron infantry. So a lot of the stuff that I've learned from painting this, I want to make a new video showing you how to paint smaller infantry models. And I love Necron. The Necrons look great. Obviously the 40k Tomb Kings. So a lot of the stuff that I do in this video will be in the new Necron video in the future when I get around to it. So he's on my shelf just to sort of give me motivation and reference for the new Necron stuff. I'm always adding to the, so I'm kind of almost finished with the Night Goblins. Once I've completely finished them, I might do a showcase video for them. Yeah, I love Old World. And if you haven't seen this, if you do Night Goblins for Age of Sigmar as well, they're Gloomspite kits, and you can use the tutorial to paint your Age of Sigmar Gloomspite kits as well. But these are just using contrast paints. So I'm nearly done. As soon as I finish that painting that giant I showed you earlier, this guy, as soon as I've painted this guy, that's my Night Goblins done. And then I'll get started on the Tomb Kings. This is Grimgor Ironhide. So he's an old Black Orc character for the Orcs in Warhammer Fantasy. And I'm trying to come up with a colour scheme to paint for a future orc army for Old World as well, which I'd probably do at the end of the year. So he's just used contrast as well. So he's something I've been... This guy will get repainted. I'm just sort of practicing on this guy at the minute, seeing what I like. What else? This is the first Tomb King's miniature I've built. And this is the Battle Standard Bearer. So it's quite big. But I'm really looking forward to getting this army done. Yeah. So that's a lot of stuff that I've been working on over Christmas. As I say, I had a lot planned for all the new people that have been coming in. But it hasn't really worked out. So the first video I attempted, what I really wanted to do for the channel was a yellow Land Raider. Just to sort of go with my Imperial Fist that I've been doing for myself. But I kind of lost mojo for it. So this ended up being shelved. And that was the end. This was supposed to be the first video in December, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So I ended up making the transfers video, which actually probably ended up being the only video I released in December. So this failed as a video. The next video I attempted to do actually was Guilliman. So this is the second attempt of Roboute Guilliman. The first one didn't work out, and he's now in the bin somewhere. I threw him in the bin. And I eventually came back because he was meant to be released originally before Christmas Eve, but it obviously wasn't released until last weekend. Another video I attempted was to start the Tomb Kings, and I finished that video, but I didn't like it. It wasn't the video that I wanted to put out to you guys. It didn't really make any sense. So that's going to become something different when I do the Tomb Kings. I planned on doing more of the long form content as well. So you had the 3-hour sort of conversation about getting started in the hobby. I had planned on doing more of that, but it wasn't well received. Well, I'm not saying it wasn't well received, but not a lot of people watched it. So I kind of decided not to go forward with that series of videos. So then I attempted to do my Guilliman video again, and thankfully he was successful. So I did attempt to make more content for the... I attempted to make a video for every week throughout December, but it just didn't work out that way, unfortunately. And I only ended up doing the transfers video, which is fine, it happens. So now I'm just ready to sort of start getting content out again. So if you just joined, last weekend I released my first masterclass video, which is Roboute Guilliman. And what masterclass tutorial is exclusive tutorial for supporters on Patreon and YouTube members. And you can also, you'll be able to purchase these individual videos for about £3 each. I'll probably just keep that as a set price for each video, just to keep it simple. And you can now go to TableTopReady.co.uk, my website. There's a link in the description. And there's a masterclass page where all the masterclass tutorials will be there. So you'll see what's available when they come out, but obviously you'll only be able to watch them if you support through those different platforms. Because what I have done recently is I'm trying my best to finish working on the website, because that's been in the works for the past couple of months now. but there's just a lot of decision making going on with it. But at the minute, it's finally, as of like last, because I made a post on Saturday, as of the end of last week, it's now in a place that's usable for both browser and mobile. So you can go on the website. It's not finished. There are still some blank pages which will be finished over the next couple of weeks. But what's there is usable. So make sure go have a look. I'm really proud of it. I've just been working on it by myself. Obviously, I don't have anyone else working with me. But yeah, so that'll be a way to see all the videos organized together, because it's not very well organized on Patreon. You can't organize content like you can on YouTube. The next masterclass video is going to be the White Scars character on bike, and that's going to be worked on after I've done Tighter, so for the start of February. So I'm hoping to get a masterclass out once a month. And then after the White Scars character, it's going to be Magnus. For anyone who's a Thousand Suns fan, if you heard me say all this earlier, I'm just repeating myself because obviously a lot of new people come in towards the second half of the live streams as well. So if you want to help support Tabletop Ready, you get access to extra content now, and you can do that through Patreon and YouTube memberships. I need to update some of the tiers and what you can access, and just like the descriptions of stuff. So there are 3 tiers for Patreon at the minute. The lowest tier is, I think, a £2 tier. That doesn't give you access to the tutorials, but that does give you access to the Discord and updates and early access to the YouTube content. You then have the Elites tier. You get access to the masterclass as well as everything you get for the Troops tier. And then the heavy support tier, you get everything obviously below. And in the future, the heavy support's going to get access to STL files that I'm going to be making throughout the year, which won't be available to the middle tier and low tier. That will only be available for heavy support tiers on Patreon. So that'll be like, it's not going to be like miniatures or anything like that, but it's going to be stuff you can print off on 3D printers. So, but if you're not part of that tier, I'll make all that available to be purchased individually as well. It'll be like really cheap. But that's something I'm planning throughout the year, is STL files that I create myself. I'm just brushing up on my 3D skills at the minute. Torben, I used the Stalker video as a basis for my other Necrons. Yeah, I was so proud of this Doomstalker and how it came out. And I've been meaning to update the Necron video because of this. Because it's really straightforward to paint as well, and this is one of my all-time favorite tutorials that I made, just because it was really enjoyable. And I don't usually like painting metallics, because they don't paint as well as normal acrylics. Mad Gamer, if you'll humour me, my 8-year-old, what is your favourite colour? I'm sure in general is fine. If you've seen on the channel, my favourite chapter is Imperial Fists, and Imperial Fists are yellow, and that's my favourite colour. Yellow is my favourite colour. And I've found that a lot of my armies that I paint tend to have yellow in them. So the Night Goblins, you've obviously got the yellow accents with the shields. I'm planning on doing an Orthway army, but instead of bone, it's going to be yellow. I've got an Imperial Fists army I'm working on. Iron Jaws I've painted. I've got an Iron Jaws army. They're yellow. My Chaos army, my Black Legion army, my personal Black Legion army are based on the old 2nd edition, 3rd edition colour scheme, which has a lot of yellow accents in that. So a lot of the stuff I tend to paint has yellow in that, just because it's my favourite colour. This guy, 2667, currently painting my Imperial Guard based off your painting video. Yeah, so I've got Acadian video and I've got the Krieg video. I'm going to be updating the Krieg video later in the year, which I'm excited about. I wasn't going to originally, but I saw someone working in our Discord on their own, and it kind of made me want to paint some. So I'll be updating that, because the one I made on the channel is quite an old colour scheme when they first came out for Kill Team. So I want to make one for the new colour scheme for Krieg. No worries, yeah. Yellow's always been my favourite colour. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if Imperial Fists made me like yellow, or I like Imperial Fists because of yellow. Yeah. My armies will always mostly be yellow. I think with the Tomb Kings, I think that's the only time they probably won't have any yellow in them. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of anything yellow. Yeah. So it's just been a lot of random stuff happening over the past few weeks. I'm just trying to get my head back in the game. Again, I'll just mention the tutorial for next week. It's going to be Battle Sisters. Just because I've been wanting to do. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of updated tutorials this year. Just because I've learned a lot in the past I've been doing this channel for 5 years now. So my style of painting's changed. And I want to make the tutorials I make more approachable and easier for people to follow. Because my original goal was to sort of paint like the miniatures like they do on the box, but using that scheme. Now I want to achieve how they look on the box, but in my own way. And the first tutorial for these it ended up being really sort of in-depth and very involved. And I've always felt bad about that. So this is kind of my way to sort of stop me feeling bad, I guess. But hopefully they should still pretty much look like they do on the box here, but just with less effort required. Fire Dan, love your Guilliman. I painted mine over 150 hours at the fire station, but Ultramar turned out amazing. Did you follow the masterclass tutorial? If you did, it was worth making. As you watch the video, you'll see in real time that I was changing my mind how I was painting it. Which I don't usually do for my tutorials. So so for this tutorial here, I start off with the trim, but as I was painting for the tutorial, I ended up getting more adventurous. Well, not adventurous, but originally I wanted to keep it quite simple. So I thought, what would be best for people? What would people want? But it ended up being a whole process to paint the gold, which didn't turn out to be a lot of work, which I thought it would have been. That's why I sort of, I don't think I'm, okay, let me start again. My goal is to make painting miniatures a lot more straightforward for people, and that included Guilliman. So I was worried that to achieve the look on the box would be very difficult and quite involved. But as I was painting him for the video, I kept figuring out ways to make it easy, basically, and just more straightforward. So a lot of this is a lot of easy steps rather than difficult steps. The most difficult thing about Roboute Guilliman's paint is probably the sword. And even for me, it was quite involved, and there was no easy way to do that. Just because it's a big focus of the miniature, you want it to look good. But hopefully I explained it well enough to achieve the same finishes I've achieved. Mike Gray, hey Michael, just wanted to say how much I enjoy your work. I was wondering what your thoughts were regarding the official heavy metal recipes, varying from the paints actually available. So the heavy metal team do use the Citadel Paints, but a lot of the time they'll create crazy mixes. And I do my research before all my tutorials, and I look at the recipes that heavy metal have produced, and I'll try and sort of convert them to something more mainstream that we can all do. So for example, with Ultramarines, the second highlight on the armor, like the chunky highlight, they mix Macragge blue and Calgar blue. Whereas it's not, the mix they come up with isn't that different from Outdorf Guard blue, which I show you how to use in the videos. So what I'll do is I'll make those mixes that heavy metal do, and I'll just try and find the closest approximate colour that already exists. Sometimes that's not possible, and I will mix for videos, but I'll always do my best to use what's there. And if I do have to mix for a video, it'll most of the time be a 50-50 mix and keep it as simple as possible. There's nothing more frustrating than having to mix colours all the time, especially when you want to paint an army or a collection of miniatures. It just helps with the consistency. But as I was saying, my approach for the channel over the past few years I've tried to teach you guys the heavy metal way of painting, and I've always been quite close to using the recipe heavy metal use, but now my approach is going to be achieve the same look as the box, but in my own way. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to spend like 3 days painting one miniature when you want to paint a whole army of them. So I'm trying to find the middle ground for you guys, and that's kind of what I've started to do, sort of like middle of last year, and that's what I'm bringing into this year. So yeah, that's the plan anyway. But you'll still get amazing looking miniatures. I just want to make it as easy as possible for us all. Is my goal. But yeah, the heavy metal do have, and every time they like just recently over the past few years, miniatures are becoming more and more detailed, and the heavy metal team and studio painters are just getting more and more talented and more creative with how they're approaching painting their miniatures. So every time they do like a reveal or showcase a new army that's coming out, I just feel like the way they've painted their miniatures becomes less and less approachable, and I feel like it puts people off. A good example is actually the recent release of the Nurgle miniatures for Age of Sigmar and how they've been painted. And they're so elaborate. and it's just hard to expect just a general hobbyist to want to paint them like that. I always found that when I look at a box, I want to feel like I could achieve how they've painted that. But I feel like the gap's widening now. So now I'm taking it upon myself to sort of keep that gap as small as possible. I'm really hoping I'll get to paint some of the Nurgle Age of Sigmar stuff this year, because I do love the colour scheme that they come up with, like the metallic green for the armour. And I've already come up with a way to paint it. As I say, I just want to make the box art more approachable for people again. Make it feel like you guys can achieve the same as they are. Which is it's getting more involved. But that's how I kind of feel about heavy metal at the minute, is that they're just kind of the standards is incredibly high. You have to understand that. So something like for heavy metal, one person isn't painting this squad of Battle Sisters. One team member, like the whole heavy metal team, would have worked on this squad. So they would have maybe like painted one or two miniatures each. So they really are a team that work to get in a whole range, and they're not painting a whole army. But it's but because this is on the box, this is how people want to paint them. And that's what I'm hopefully doing with TableTopReady. Because even after 5 years as well, there still isn't really another channel that's trying to show people how to paint like the box art stuff. Even Games Workshop themselves, I get disappointed every time they release a new painting tutorial, because it's very basic. And this is the company that makes these and knows how they're painted. So my goal's always been to show you guys how to paint them, how I would want to paint them. But yeah, that's how I've been feeling about heavy metal over the past few months. And that's kind of why I'm trying to come away from trying to achieve the same level as them, because it's just impossible. Especially to create tutorials like that, because I still want a beginner to come in and feel like they can do the same. I think you hit a nerve with that question. Torben, my son 5 has just painted my Tau Kill team all blue. I let him, but now he's considering the Battle Sisters. I get a lot of people saying that they're getting their kids involved and painting with them. And the one thing I always say to them is that it's great and you should be getting them involved. And even at like 5 years old, probably isn't even that young. But I always say that it's the experience that's important. Just kids that young. I mean, it's not always about how they paint it. It's just painting with their dad, their mom, or whoever they're painting with, because that's what they're going to remember growing up, is the time they spent painting with you. So yeah, it's important that you don't worry about how good they are at painting. Just get them painting and enjoying the experience, because they're more likely to stick with the hobby, because they'll remember how it makes them feel and the times they spent with you. But yeah, get them painting Battle Sisters. Let's get some. There's lots of bright colour schemes for Battle Sisters. Like you've got the red colour scheme, white colour scheme. Maybe something a bit more exciting than black. Like bright, vibrant colour schemes are always fun. Edward, hello. Fire Dan. It was just extremely tedious, especially for a perfectionist in me, especially direction light. Loads of glazing, yeah. So glazing's a really awkward technique to teach because there's a lot of expectations behind glazing. And what the glazing I teach in my tutorials isn't necessarily the true glazing technique. But I'll always keep it consistent with how I do it on the channel. I just want to sort of give you a way in to start glazing is my thoughts behind it. And then you can sort of build on the techniques that I show you in these videos. I'm just sort of helping you sort of hit the ground running. It's funny how when I was thinking of stripping Guilliman, since mine looks like he got hit with the God Blight, I get a notification about a tutorial for Guilliman from me. It was meant to be. LDZ. True, Games Workshop only makes battle-ready tutorials and no more parade-ready instructions. Yeah, I get upset and disappointed in them. And I understand why, because it's time-consuming. So it's what their goal is to get a tutorial out before anyone else, because then they become, which is fair because it's their product. But for them to have to get a tutorial out as quick as they do, they obviously have to make it a simpler process. Just because it's how the algorithm works. The algorithm will prioritize content that's already existing if it does well. So people will come in and they'll find the Games Workshop tutorials first. Fire Dan, I've been painting every metal style since early 90s. You do a great job showcasing techniques to achieve. I've noticed many painters getting better because of channels like yours. I think I appreciate that. Thank you. I get better painting as well, doing these tutorials. So I'm learning as I go along, just the same as you guys. Also, their instructions are now not even educational in nature at all. It feels like just slap some paint on it and that's it. Our channel and spend, yeah. So yeah, they just want to like just put content out to help people get it painted, basically. But I think it depends. Like that might be the main audience. You just want to get it painted and on the tabletop. I remember when tutorials first started appearing on Warhammer, and obviously Duncan was a pioneer of the painting tutorial, in my opinion, even if painting tutorials existed before that. But the format that I teach in was started by Duncan, and they're the first painting tutorials that I remember watching and wanted to watch. And they were great and they were inspiration. It's one of the reasons I have a channel now. I wouldn't say the new tutorials are very inspiring that they're creating now. I'm painting my death kites of Krieg at the moment. Very happy at the moment with how they look with your tutorial, but swapping out some colours for my own colour scheme. Yeah, so I am going to be updating the Krieg tutorials later this year. Hopefully sort of April, May time. Yeah, so Torben, that's why you let him paint the Tau blue. He wants to try what Dad does. So I don't let him read the books, etc., since they're kind of graphic. Yeah, and I think that's a great approach. It's a great approach just to get them involved and enjoy it. I think it's worth sacrificing some Tau miniatures or Battle Sisters just for the experience you have together and the time you have together. George, they could just release a tutorial before the mini. They do release their tutorials before. So Titus is already out on the channel, ready, and that was before the pre-orders. But in a way, I suppose it kind of helps people get excited for the pre-orders as well. But again, they need to sort of get out quick, so they probably have a short amount of time to produce these tutorials. Yeah, Duncan did do a Magnus tutorial, and I have seen that. I've watched all the Duncan tutorials that he made on the Warhammer channel. Lucas or Luca. So I've mixed up your name. I'm glad I caught this to thank you. I started Warhammer 2 years ago. I thought all my models need to be fully painted before I could play. Your tutorials are what got me started. Love your style. I'm really glad. Yeah, like regardless of the end result you want for your miniatures, it doesn't have to be painted all in one go. You get the base colours down first and you can start playing games. And as you go, you can just sort of add stuff to those miniatures. I think that's the best way to do it, really, because you still get to play games. It doesn't take that long to put the base colours down. Probably a week for an army or two, a week or two. And just basic colours still looks better than plastic, in my opinion. I started modelling with 8 airplanes, tanks, and such. You started modelling when you were 8, doing airplanes, tanks, and such. Warhammer came with 13. So I started the Warhammer hobby when I was 14. So I was already in secondary school. And I remember going into the Games Workshop for the first time. I remember always walking past it as a kid and looking in, going, "Oh, that's so amazing." It was all second edition at the time when I was young, and then when I started delivering newspapers in my area, so I was a paper boy. So I started earning a bit of pocket money every week. So that's when I thought, I'm going to start saving up, and I want to see about this Warhammer hobby. And third edition had just come out as I'd started the hobby. So it must have been 1998 or 1999 I started doing the hobby. I remember the release of the Land Raider. The first product I bought was it was like a painting starter set, nothing like it is today. But it had some paints and 5 like really sort of monopose space marines, and I remember painting them as Dark Angels. And then I attempted doing Space Wolves, but then I quickly went and started doing Chaos. So then I was a very big Chaos player for the early time of my hobby career. Emu, hi again, Michael. Love your tutorials, very useful. I'm glad. Thank you very much for stopping by and saying that. It really means a lot. Edward, I've only just started to paint my Krieg and I've already done 5 games, most against my brothers. I got it to 2 wounds and he fortified the game. I was so annoyed. I forfeited. Oh, you'd never... If he forfeits again, to say you won't play him. It's always worth playing right till the end, because it can change. Like when I play my friend in Old World, he's usually given up by the end of first turn. But then by the end, it's a really close game, and he ends up bringing it back. Yeah. No, I love this hobby. I'll always do it, and that's why I wanted... This channel's all about getting everybody involved and helping them get started, enjoy the hobby how they want. Cheeseburger, hello. I'm currently working on Troggoth Army for Age of Sigmar. You probably saw this already, it's probably why you mentioned it, but this is going to be my giant for the Night Goblins. I love this miniature. So I'll show, when he's finished, I'll show the channel. Right. Yeah, starting to lose my voice now. So yeah, that's what's kind of been going on for the past few weeks. Attempts at making tutorials and failing, but now I've got my mojo back. After I painted, Guilliman was a great mojo builder, and it was great just to finish a tutorial and project. So now I'm ready to start making content again. So this year it's just going to be all painting tutorials. You'll be happy to know. Whereas last year there was quite a lot of like how to paint bases, doing transfers, those kind of videos. But I just want to do painting tutorials now. Just for the past couple of years, it's been very experimental with the kind of content I've been making for the channel. But now I'm locking in. It's TableTopReady. It's just all about painting, and that's it. And this year's a big year as well because it's the 11th edition of 40k. So we'll see what they do with that. And it'll give me an excuse to paint even more orcs. Edward, exactly. I had my Gazgal on 3 wounds against my dad's space wolves, and he went on a rampage and murdered everyone. Yeah, it's just play it. Like, games are fun, especially if you're the kind of person who needs to be winning every step of the way throughout the game. Your opponent can't be enjoying the game. It's good to have sort of like the back and forth. There's 2 people playing the game. I always enjoy games better when it's close, when you're not sure who's going to win. Excuse my ignorance, but wouldn't he hypothetically work better as a troll hag? The troll hag's actually bigger than this. This is a perfect size for the giant. The reason I'm using this for the giant because it fits better for the aesthetic of my night goblins. But I know what you mean. But the troll hag is actually like 3 times the size of this. It's on a bigger base as well. It's on a longer base. Because the troll hag used to be an old Forge World miniature, so it's quite large. It's like that big. So this actually isn't big enough, in my opinion, to work as a troll hag. But I wanted this just to be, whereas this is actually a perfect size for the giant, and it works better for the, as I say, better for the aesthetic of my Night Goblin army. How long do you reckon it takes you to paint that giant? Well, I'm just going to be using contrast paints, so it's probably just going to take a couple of days. It's going to be quite quick. So if you haven't seen my Night Goblin army, it's quite straightforward. Just some contrast paints and some highlights. It's never as involved as my tutorials on the channel. So a couple of days should do it. If you're around for a future live stream and I show it off, I'll go through the process of how I painted it. I'm looking forward to painting the new Captain Titus and Wardens of Ultramar, then skating some Necrons on the battlefield. Will you be doing a tutorial? Yes. Over the weekend, I did pre-order Titus. I stood outside the Warhammer shop, ready for 10 o'clock. Just so you know, if you go to a Warhammer shop, they bypass any kind of queues through the website. I wasn't sure how popular the Titus was going to be. Sometimes, obviously, miniatures sell out really quickly. I knew Titus was going to sell out, which it did eventually throughout the day, but I just wanted to make sure I get it. So as soon as I have Titus, I'm going to be making a tutorial for him. So next weekend's going to be Battle Sisters. 2 weeks after that, it's going to be Titus, so 3 weeks' time. Just because Titus is 2-week pre-order. So a week after he's been officially released, there'll be a tutorial for him on the channel. I'll be updating I'll be doing Necron tutorials as well. I'm thinking about doing the Deceiver, which is an incredible miniature. And I love the way it's been painted. And I want to have a go at paint. I want to have a go at trying to paint a miniature like that. Valentine, hi TableTopReady. I have restarted the hobby 6 months ago with my girlfriend with a starter set, and I would like to thank you for your beginner-friendly tutorials, which helps a lot, from France. I'm really glad. I love helping people get involved in the hobby. It's what I enjoy doing the most, and it's why I always go back to redoing beginner content. I never thought these tutorials would be very beginner friendly, but thankfully the way I teach, it's really helped a lot of people, which is amazing. And I'm really proud of all the content, and I'm really glad you get to do something with your girlfriend. Now we're working on the latest battle force for Space Marines and Tyranids. Yeah, I'm itching to do more Tyranid content this year. I want to paint the Norn Emissary, but she'll be a masterclass, I think. But I do want to do more Tyranid content this year. I love the new battle force for Tyranids. I've got a Tyranid army sort of ready to paint, sort of continuing from the tutorials I've already made. But I want the new battle force because it's just got some great miniatures that add on to the starter sets. So yeah, I can't remember. One of the miniatures is like a beetle with a gun on its back. I can't remember what it's called now. But I'm eager to do a tutorial for that, to be honest. As I say, I want to do the Norn Emissary. Cheeseburger, the Rockgut Trogoff kit has a lot of fun details. One of the trolls is slinging a deer over its shoulder. Yeah, I've got quickly show off some of my night goblins. So if you've seen the Night Goblin army video, if you've seen the Night Goblins on the channel already, I've expanded a lot from that video. So, just a lot. I've got like characters. If you ever have a Night Goblin army, you need one of these guys. A war boss on Cave Squig. You need to give him Wallopers one hit wonder. You also need to give him Trollhide trousers. This guy is unstoppable. Like just going around and killing like the big characters on the table. Yeah, the Biovore. I want to do a Biovore tutorial this year. Or maybe the Exocrine. Either one. But yeah, so they're Night Goblins. The banner I painted so I painted that in the video. Two Mangler Squigs. These are great as well. These are, if you ever have these in a game, don't expect a lot from them. They're there to scare your opponent. They die very easily, and they very rarely get somewhere. But they'll worry about these more than they'll worry about the rest of your army. Just a tip. And then I've got 6 trolls. And there's the cow. These aren't so great in the game. I only tend to take 3. because they die quite easily, to be honest. Because if you give them these big weapons like this, they tend to fight after everybody else, and they just die first. Yeah, with these, so just imagine like an army, you got your trolls and then your giant. So you see like the scale just fits the giant. I'll do showcase video one day when I've finished everything. If you want to know how I've painted this Night Goblin army, the video exists on the channel, including how to paint the Troggoths. If you ever do Orcs and Goblin army, I'd paint the boss with troll hide trousers, like they're a pair of Levi's. That would be funny. Mangler Squigs are only 95 points, that is correct, and they've only got 4 wounds. So in Old World, everything's got less attacks and they don't have a lot of wounds, which is, if you come from like 40k or Age of Sigmar, it doesn't seem like a lot. But the way Old World works is that everything kind of lasts longer. Yeah, the giant attacks are very fun. I was just saying, I had a game with my friend just before Christmas. It's one that I didn't have a giant at the time, and I borrowed his giant. So with a giant, you roll on a table, so you roll a d6, and there's like 6 different attacks. And one of the attacks is called Belly Flop, and it's a big round template like this. And he's fighting a unit, and you'll put a template over the unit he's fighting, and everything under that template gets hit and dies quite easily, to be honest. So that's the reason why I decided to get my own giant, because I've been borrowing his and it's done really well, and he didn't want to let me borrow his giant anymore. So yeah, but I wanted a giant. I wanted a giant anyway. What time are we on? I think we're going to wrap this up now because my voice is gone. And it's been a couple of hours. But thank you everybody who's joined this evening. It's been a lot of fun. My plans with live streams moving forward, it's probably going to be one a month, or when I get chance, but at least once a month. Just because I've got a lot of content to catch up on, and I've got to get the website done. But it just gives an opportunity for you guys to sort of, it makes it more of a special occasion. So just keep an eye out, because I'll try and announce the live streams a few days before, just to let you know. So the next live stream will probably be at the start of February now, just so you know. But yeah, I love doing the live streams, and they're a great chance to talk to you guys and what you've been up to. And I love answering your questions, and I really hope you enjoy them as well. As I say, make sure to go over to the website, which is now usable on the browser and mobile, which it hasn't been for a very long time because it's just been in a state of being unfinished. But I've come along and did it myself. But it's just taking time because it's me making it. You can have a look at what masterclasses. All the masterclasses will be on there. So if you ever want to know what masterclasses there are, they'll be on there when they're released. If you want access to the masterclasses and any future masterclasses, you can join Patreon or become a YouTube member. The individual tutorials will be available to purchase for £3 British through Patreon as well. And that's for the Guilliman tutorial currently there. You can sign up for the newsletter on my website. It's on the website, it says you get a free PDF that teaches you how to improve your miniature painting. That PDF doesn't exist at the moment, but I'm working on it. So anyone who signs up, as soon as that's ready, I'll just go back and send it to everybody who's signed up already anyway. But that'll be over the next couple of weeks. That's made. But there's going to be loads of stuff on the website. I want it to be kind of a hub for Tabletop Ready. There's going to be loads of articles. Anyone who joins as a member on YouTube or Patreon, there's a page. You'll get your name listed on that page. I'm just trying to get the bare bones of the website together first, so then I can sort of expand out. Because I want to, in the future, for the people who support the channel, I want to be able to create a gallery showing off their miniatures on there as well as one of the perks. But that's something I need to sort of add on later once I've got the bare bones all together. And as I say, I'll be putting articles on there, so a lot of the videos will have their content in written form on that website for you guys to sort of have access to. And most importantly, is a place for the masterclass tutorials to go and be organised. So I think just make sure you go over there and just sort of get familiar with it, because that's where a lot of the stuff's going to be happening moving forward as I work on it. But yeah, any support for the channel's obviously really appreciated. It's one of the reasons I've had to start the masterclass, is to try and keep the channel going. Because without the masterclass, it's tough to, because obviously most of the channel I have to fund for myself. So it does help buy all the miniatures and equipment and stuff that I use on the channel. But I don't want to stop doing the channel. I'll always be out of pocket if I have to be. But again, thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys being around and hanging out with me for a couple of hours, listening to me talk. Next weekend on Sunday will be the Battle Sisters tutorial, so I look forward to that. 2 weeks after that will be Titus. After that will be the White Scars character as a masterclass, along with the updated White Scars tutorial. I'm telling you all that now, for all those people who stuck around until the end of the live stream. So just a little bit of future plans. But again, thank you very much, everyone. Look after yourselves, and I look forward to see you in a couple of weeks for another live stream. See you all later. You want to see the Goblin with banner? Hang on. Last thing, because you asked so nicely. If you want to know sort of my approach to painting this, go watch the Night Goblin video. I paint it in that tutorial. Funnily enough, you ask about the battle reports with my Night Goblins. My friend has been recording all the games we've been playing. And he's trying to put together a channel with some of these games on. So as soon as he's figured it out, I'll let you know. But yeah, so just wanted to there you go. There's the banner. Enjoy. Go watch the video. Bye.